Alright, so this is a bit of curious news. Advanced Paris just announced their new Apex range of components, and these are components that are said to be everything that people love about their classic series, just a little bit elevated. It consists of 4 products that come dressed up in exclusive limited edition black livery finish with high contrast white VU meters. And it's this new look of the Apex series that has me excited because it was the old look of the classic series that gave me pause. I wasn't really a big fan. But here's the rundown of this new series. You have the A8 Apex, the A10 Apex, A12 Apex, integrated amplifiers, and the ACD Apex compact CD player. As we can expect, all of the amps use their hybrid tube transistor topology. The A8 and the A10 feature this DAC, and the A12 features this top-tier DAC. All 3 of these amplifiers are compatible with their new A-BTC Bluetooth dongle. It apparently enables wireless streaming from smartphones, tablets, and computers to these amplifiers, and it also allows you to stream the Bluetooth to compatible headphones. The CD player has its own 2 bass analog inputs in both RCA and XLR configurations, and if you are into CD players, I imagine a CD player with tubes is pretty exciting to you. And these are the MSRPs for these products. Of all of these amplifiers, it is the A8 that I just naturally gravitate towards. It's the slimmest, most compact, and the sleekest of them all. I think it looks the best, and it has pretty much all of the functionality and connectivity that I think I need. Though the A10 does have dual sub out, so maybe that's the one that I gravitate towards. But back on the design, I love the way these look. I like the streamlined colorways, I like the white VU meters. It just looks altogether elevated, in photos anyway, compared to the outgoing, or maybe the still existing classic series. And I got a chance, as I mentioned before, to review the MyConnect 250, and that was their top tier all-in-one integrated amplifier, streamer, CD player. It was crazy. It was completely stuffed to the gills with every feature that I would potentially want on an integrated amplifier, but then a whole bunch of other things that I just never even considered. And it should have been the type of product that I would recommend to anyone out there that's looking for one product that they can buy and not buy anything else ever again. Only I couldn't, because I didn't like the way this product looked. And regardless of what other people say, looks do matter in this hobby, especially when it's going to dominate your living room. The starting points, or at least the elements of this, had a lot of promise. It's got the black gloss panel, just like Macintosh. It has all silver knobs. It's got bluish VU meters, orange tubes, LCD screens, silver CD player knobs, a regal-looking Advanced Paris logo. But altogether, it just didn't really look very good to me. So much so that I even did a render of what I thought could be done to make this look a little bit better. And all I did was just simplify everything. I took off some of the decals, I streamlined the design overall, I made the buttons black. But with this new Apex series, Advanced Paris went and pretty much did exactly that, but then they took it a few steps further, and I think it looks better for it. For one, I love the white VU meters. They look so much better. They pop better, but they don't contrast too much, and I feel like this would be more complementary in my living room. And then furthermore, I imagine, I could be speaking out of turn here, but I imagine this new design language could creep its way into the MyConnect series, and with that gigantic 250, if they use these design changes onto that product, I would have no choice but to make it my instant recommendation for anyone looking for an all-in-one product for their living room. I think it would look perfect. So let's talk about the MyConnect 250. Outside of its industrial design, I think it was a pretty great product. And I did a full review of it for Secrets of Home Theater, but I'm kind of doing a dupe of it here just because, hey, I like some clicks on my channel too. But the product itself is pretty spectacular, and it is the top of the line of all-in-one streaming amplifier CD players in that MyConnect series. There's the 60, the 150, and then the 250, the one that I got to review. On Advanced Paris' website, they state that this is a product that is so full-featured that it's targeted at consumers that don't want clutter of boxes and equipment in their living space. They just want to listen to music and have one sole product. But then you turn this product around and you are treated to every possible connection that you would ever want, allowing you to connect essentially an orgy of equipment and then just filling your living room with components. And to give you a rundown of what you can connect to this, here we go. Starting off, it's 2 toroidal transformers on either side of the product. It's 190 watts per channel, class AB. There's 2 preamps. You get speaker A, B, and C speaker out, HDMI audio in, HDMI ARC, 3 optical, 3 coaxial, FM analog, and DAB digital, Bluetooth receiver input, XLR outs, 2 sets of XLR audio inputs, gain and impedance control for 2 sets of headphones, a whole bunch of RCA inputs, USB audio, CD player, pre-outs, rec out, amp in, 2 sub-outs with adjustable bass management, high bias switch, phono, move-in magnet, low-level MC and high-level MC coils, display front panel controls, tone controls, and bass management. You also have the advanced PlayStream app available for iOS and Android. You can stream Qobuz, Tidal, Deezer, VTuner, Internet Radio, and it's also compatible with Spotify Connect, and you can stream directly from the Spotify app. Dude. I set this up in my living room atop my media unit on the right side, and it did partially block the TV because it's gigantic. I did it in 2 different ways. First, as part of my home theater system, set up in Power Amp Direct mode. It's paired with the Marantz Cinema 70. My setup is dual purpose, and I enjoy me some surround sound, so that's what I always gravitate towards. This does have HDMI ARC though, so that was my second setup. It was 2-channel. But the fact that this has 3 speaker outputs means that I could connect up to 2 speakers, because that's all I have room for, and I can switch between them at my leisure. But then also for home theater, I can engage both speakers and have one set essentially extend my front stage a little bit, which in a small space was kind of amazing to try. It also has bass management via switches on the back. It's between 75 Hz and 150 Hz. I chose 75 as my cutoff because I was using 2 floor standing speakers and I prefer the subs to handle just the sub and not the rest of the frequency range. Though I imagine if you were pairing this with something like the SVS Ultra Evolution Nano or the Q Acoustics 5010, that you might want to engage that 150 Hz cutoff switch to send some of that oomphy goodness down low. As you can tell from the B-roll that you're looking at, I use it with the 5040 Theater as well as the Martin Logan F10 Theater. And somehow during the recording of this, I forgot to mention that I also use this with the SVS Ultra Evolution Home Theater. That was 4 bookshelf speakers front and back, a giant center speaker, and 2 SVS 3000 micros. The subs used were the Martin Logan Dynamo 10, the Sub 100 from Q Acoustics, and also the Dolly E12F. My room is open on the left side because I'm in a condo, and my listening space is about 12 feet wide by 10 feet deep. It's tiny. I also built myself a little speaker shelf right behind my couch to house the rear speakers and some books and stuff. And then, of course, for 2-channel listening, I just removed the Marantz Cinema 70 from the signal chain, got rid of the center speaker altogether, put everything into the advanced Paris My Connect 250. I used the aforementioned 2 floor standing speakers and all the same subwoofers. So sonically, this thing sounds amazing. When I first set this product up, it was around 12:40 at night. Incidentally, I do all of my YouTube stuff after hours. It's not my full-time bread and butter gig. And I do all of my B-roll, especially in the wee hours of the night, because I like to be able to control my lighting when I can. And because I'm in a condo and on the left side, it's floor-to-ceiling windows in my living room, that when the light comes in, it takes on like this greenish, bluish tinge, and it just ruins all of the footage. I'm a bit of a novice when it comes to shooting, and I can't color correct that out. I don't know how to navigate that. So wee hours of the morning it is. But when I was doing my B-roll, I want to listen to some music, but I don't want to piss off my neighbors and get evicted. So I listen to a lot of ambient music, and there is a playlist on Spotify. Sorry, everyone, again. I do listen to Spotify. It's what my kids use. I'd rather not just delete it and blow up all their playlists. So I have a bunch of stuff on there that I like to listen to. And if I'm listening to low level, just kind of passing the time, I don't really care for the resolution and getting all the nuances or the high resness of music. I just want to enjoy some music. But there's a playlist on there that I have. It's called New Ambient, and it's a bunch of different tracks from artists that I've never heard of before. And it just kind of allows me to zone out and take in some good music, and that's what I do. I first had this connected to the CXN V2 via XLR with the volume at about 58 decibels connected to the Q Acoustics 5040s. At this low volume, the amount of sound that was emanating from the speakers was phenomenal. I guess it has to do with the good sensitivity of these speakers, plus the amount of power that's coming out of this product. It makes for listening at low volumes as expansive as I am listening at higher volumes. It's kind of remarkable. But then also, there's a new album from ASC. It's called Time Heals All. Well, actually, it's not new. It's from 2022, but I hadn't heard it before, so it's brand new to me, and that's all that matters in my little bubble. It reminds me of when I was in Tokyo last time at the Team Lab Borderless exhibit, where I was watching light in crazy rooms. It's fully interactive. That's what I felt like I was in, but just in my tiny condo in the middle of the night shooting B-roll. And of course, I did slam a bunch of drum and bass through this amplifier and all these speakers. And because I had like 3 home theater packages in-house and multiple subwoofers, I just ended up stacking a pair of subwoofers, the Dolly and the Dynamo. I stacked one on top of another, not for any sonic benefit other than just gobs of bass in my condo, but it also sort of pleased the inner bass head in me. But I did start off with playing a CD. I started off with Caliber Spill, and admittedly, I don't really buy CDs, and most of my CDs just either came with vinyl albums or just came in the back of magazines. That's a really old reference, but the tracks that I can listen to over and over again are Paragov and Start Again. Start Again features Chimpo. It just sounds a little more grimy, something a bit more uncharacteristic from Caliber, and then Paragov is more like that nice, rolly, smooth, vocally Caliber goodness. And both tracks sounded super clean, but also hit really hard. And between the speakers, the Q Acoustics is a bit more neutral and a bit more just even-handed across the board with every type of music that I put through it. And then the Martin Logans were a bit more, I guess, dynamic, a bit more in-your-face, a bit punchier, and then also a bit more sharp on top. So I did initiate the tone controls on the Martin Logan just to shave off the treble a touch, just to make it a bit more palatable to my ears. Also on CD is Renegade Hardware's Anthology, and this has Future Cuts Whiplash on it. Just, I have so many good memories of hearing this on the radio and in clubs back in the day, and it is all the feels, and it is weird hearing it not mixed. Like, I have it on vinyl, and I purposely just love mixing it into other tunes, but hearing it straight and not pitched up is kind of weird, but it does sound big and sounds full and all those things, and when it slams in, the amens and the bass just sound incredible. Again, nothing sounds bad on this amplifier, but then also playing something a bit smoother. One of my favorite albums of all time, Songs in the Key of Life from Stevie Wonder. There's As, which is my standout favorite track on there, but then also Another Star is kind of fun. I preferred it on the Q Acoustics 5040s just because it sounded a bit more true to the song or from my memory of that song, and I think sometimes that matters when you are listening to music. I'm not looking to discover subtle nuances in the song or anything. I just want it to sound almost how I remember it and sound cleaner. And I ran this tune on the Alva TT V2 turntable from Cambridge Audio. It's a really long name. But I like this turntable because I can switch between the inbuilt phono stage and then the one on the Mic Connect 250. And to my ears, they sound pretty much on par. I can't really tell the difference, so the one must be good in the Mic Connect 250. But then I switched back to drum and bass just because I was going on a bit of an old school kick, and I broke out Planet V. It's an 8-piece boxed vinyl set. Most of the tracks are 1 track per side, barring a couple, and I don't really like those songs anyway, so they barely get used. But there's so many standout tracks on it, and the one that hits home the most for me is Now Is the Time from the mighty Ray Keith. If you haven't heard this before, and if you don't like drum and bass, don't listen to this. But if you like drum and bass and you haven't heard it, go and listen to it. But then if you know it, you know it. It just sounds amazing. It switches multiple times, and it's another one of those tracks that I'm just so used to mixing into something else that hearing it cleanly is somewhat strange, but also it's, you know, it's all the feels too. And when it does switch and the bass kicks on the first drop, it just, and then when it finally drops the second time, it just sounds really big and full. It's with multiple subwoofers like the Dynamo and the Dolly stack. It just rumbles my entire condo, sounds wonderful, but it's still kind of jazzy and vibey and just, I don't have anything bad to say. It's one of the, if I ever had to like make a list of my top drum and bass songs, that's going to be in my top 10, 20. It's just amazing. Okay, so with this product design not really being my bag, but then its sonics just completely knocking my socks off, there is one other variable to consider. It's the usability and livability. So my initial setup was a little bit frustrating. There is a quick Wi-Fi setup wizard that I just couldn't figure out. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I ended up just doing it manually. And once it got connected and connected to my network, it never dropped out once. The second thing is there is a user manual that comes with this product, and it is quite possibly the worst user manual that I've ever come across. It's a French first manual, which I get. It's a French company, so that's all good. But just trying to navigate the pages of it is just not really well designed. And the designer in me was just like, what is this? I was expecting maybe something a bit more for a product at this price category and with all the functionality within it. It just needs a bit of a better organization method, and it just needs to be a little bit better. So if they need a manual designer, hit up your boy. I'll maybe grudgingly do it, but yeah, manual's not good. But then also there's an on-screen menu. It's this little display on the right side, and the menu is about as old school as it gets. It reminds me a lot of Rotel's on-screen menus. You have to menu dive to figure out what's going on, and it kind of sucks. I'm not a fan. It's more than a couple presses to just engage amp mode, get it connected, and I just wish there was an easier way to do it. The remote's pretty nice. It's pretty basic. It's plastic. It's shiny black. My oily fingerprints are going to be all over it in no time. It looks kind of upmarket. It's very nicely put together, but it's not overly responsive, and sometimes I have to press a button multiple times just to get the settings changed. And then there is one other thing that's not really a thing if I think about it as a logical, mature adult, but to my children who are impatient and just want to watch Teen Titans Go, from turn on to warm up, it's 25 seconds that you have to wait for this unit to become functional. And to my children, that's an eternity. And watching them hit power and then not getting audio and then hitting it again and turning off and doing that over and over again and getting them to just wait 25 seconds was an eternity for them and kind of hilarious to watch. But yeah, you have to wait for tubes to warm up. So sonically, absolutely amazing. Connectivity-wise, damn near everything that you could ever want. And now with this new Apex range and that industrial design, if that bleeds over to this product range, it's an instant reco. Thanks for watching.